It matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
You know, first when Sayara released and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, I didn't expect this, what is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adi sir saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always, like me and Akshay were so into making the film, I think, along with Sumanna and all. Sometimes when you're so into it and you don't realize, you don't see it from, and then he saw it from a third person perspective. I mean, he was always super confident about the film. And he had actually had this talk with me about how have we done. And yeah, we all grew up. I was in the 8th grade when I saw Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and said I want to make a love story like this. For a person like him to say that, you've made a great film. All he had asked for me was to make your best film for me.
You are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I am Parmeshwar Bava, an action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. The Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House and one of Trump's most influential aides, Stephen Miller, says Trump wants tremendous relations with India, but also further accused India of effectively financing Russia's war in Ukraine by purchasing oil from Moscow after the US President escalated pressure on New Delhi to stop buying Russian oil, echoing what Marco Rubio had also said last week. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of the Philippines is set to arrive in New Delhi. This is his first trip to India since assuming office in 2022, and this as India and Philippines have begun their first bilateral naval exercise in the South China Sea. The funeral of Habib Tahir, one of the terrorists behind the April 22nd strike, who was killed in Jammu and Kashmir, was held in his village in POK last week. Earlier, members of the Pakistan Army had attended the funeral of terrorists who were killed in Operation Sindoor that was launched by India. As immigration protests escalated in the UK over the weekend, the UK has now unveiled plans for a new law that will crack down on criminal gangs behind social media advertisements promoting dangerous small boat crossings and other forms of illegal immigration into the country. Members of the oil producers group OPEC agreed to raise production as concerns grow over possible disruptions to Russian supply. The group has been hiking production since April in a bid to cushion the market against geopolitical tensions. Despite curiosity around the new program, the launch date and specific details of which are yet to be released, data shows that the existing investment-based residency program EB-5 in the US, which the Gold Card will replace, has seen more applications from India over the past 1 year than ever before. Our big focus, the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House and one of Trump's most influential aides, Stephen Miller, has accused India of effectively financing Russia's war in Ukraine by purchasing oil from Moscow after the United States President escalated pressure on New Delhi to stop buying Russian oil. Mr. Miller actually tempered his criticism by noting Trump's relationship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, describing it as tremendous. But Miller's criticism was some of the strongest yet by the Trump administration about one of the US's major partners in the Indo-Pacific. Stephen Miller says it's astonishing that India is basically tied with China in purchasing Russian oil. Listen in to his remarks.
That it is not acceptable for India to continue financing this war by purchasing the oil from Russia. People will be shocked to learn that India is basically tied with China in purchasing Russian oil. That's an
Wow.
astonishing fact. India portrays itself as being one of our closest friends in the world, but they don't accept our products. They impose massive tariffs on us. We also know they engage in a lot of cheating on immigration policies that is very harmful to American workers. And of course, we see again the purchasing of oil. So President Trump, look, he wants a tremendous relationship and has had always a tremendous relationship with India and the Prime Minister. But we need to get real about dealing with the financing of this war. So President Trump, all options are on the table to deal diplomatically, financially, and otherwise with the ongoing war in Ukraine.
Meanwhile, Indian government sources have indicated that New Delhi would keep purchasing oil from Moscow despite US threats. Trump has also threatened 100% tariffs on US imports from countries that buy Russian oil unless Moscow reaches a major peace deal with Ukraine. Let's move on now. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of the Philippines is set to arrive in New Delhi. This is his first trip to India since assuming office in 2022. And this as India and Philippines have begun their first bilateral naval exercise in the South China Sea. Marcos Jr. will meet Dr. Jaishankar today. And on the 5th of August, he will lay a wreath at Rajghat before holding bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi in Hyderabad House, wherein India and the Philippines will sign several agreements. He will then meet Mr. Nadda, as what we're told, and then travel to Bengaluru to call on the Karnataka governor. But India and the Philippines began the two-day bilateral maritime cooperative activity on Saturday in waters close to the Scarborough Shoal, a focal point of the maritime dispute between China and the Philippines. This report tells you why this visit is so significant.
In a high-profile diplomatic engagement amid rising regional tensions with China, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of the Philippines arrives in New Delhi today. His first visit to India since taking office in 2022. His state visit comes at a significant moment as India and Philippines mark 75 years of diplomatic ties, and even as the two nations conduct their first ever bilateral naval drill in the contested South China Sea. The four-day visit will begin with a meeting with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on the 4th of August. On 5th, President Marcos will pay tribute at Rajghat, followed by key bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi at Hyderabad House, where multiple agreements are expected to be signed. He will also meet President Draupadi Murmu and BJP President J.P. Nadda, who also serves as India's health minister. President Marcos will then travel to Bengaluru, where he is scheduled to call on Karnataka Governor Thawarchand Gehlot. India's defense ties with the Philippines are deepening, most notably with the delivery of the BrahMos missile system in April 2024, making the Philippines the first foreign nation to acquire it. The ongoing joint maritime drill near the Scarborough Shoal underlines shared concerns over China's assertiveness in regional waters. This aligns with India's Act East policy, Vision Mahasagar, and its Indo-Pacific vision, and is expected to chart new ground in areas like trade, defense, healthcare, and maritime cooperation. This visit sets the stage for a deeper strategic alignment in diplomacy, defense, and the Indo-Pacific. Rhythm Acadia's report for NDTV World.
Meanwhile, members of the oil producers group OPEC Plus agreed to raise production as concerns grew over possible disruptions to Russian supply. The group has been hiking production since April in a bid to cushion the market against geopolitical tensions, and the decision to increase oil output by 547,000 barrels per day would fully reverse a 2023 2.2 million barrel cutback aimed at shoring up prices. The move comes after US President Donald Trump threatened to put tariffs on buyers of Russian oil, which could drive up crude prices and also severely impact India and China, which are Moscow's biggest customers. And as Stephen Miller expresses that it's astonishing that India is basically tied with China in purchasing Russian oil, Donald Trump confirmed over the weekend his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, will visit Russia next week ahead of a looming US sanctions deadline and escalating tensions with Moscow. Donald Trump also warned Russia of ordering the repositioning of 2 US nuclear submarines after highly provocative statements of the country's former president, Dmitry Medvedev, as the two engaged in a war of words online. Listen in to the US president's latest reaction.
A deal where people stop getting killed. They had a number that just came out that a tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed. And likewise, Ukraine, a lower number, but still thousands and thousands of people. And now we're adding towns where they're being hit by missiles. So it's a lot of people being killed in that ridiculous war. And, you know, we stopped a lot of countries from war, India and Pakistan. We stopped a lot of countries.
In other news, Indian origin lawyer Mathura Sridharan has been appointed Ohio's 12th Solicitor General. And Ms. Sridharan will serve as the state's top appellate lawyer representing Ohio in high-stakes cases before state and federal appeals courts, including the US Supreme Court. Now, following this announcement, Mathura Sridharan was actually trolled online, with some critics pointing to her bindi to question why a non-US individual was chosen for the post. Many, though, have praised her legal abilities, rightfully so, citing her successful argument before the US Supreme Court and the high recommendations she received from both of Ohio's previous Solicitor Generals, that's Benjamin Flowers and Elliot Geiser. Some have also described her as brilliant, outspoken, and well prepared to serve the state. With that, let's turn our attention now to Bangladesh. Activists of the National Citizen Party, well, they have actually been mustering up a lot of action at the moment. Saurabh has been tracking the latest for us. But the student wing of the BNP held separate rallies in Bangladesh on Sunday ahead of the first anniversary of the July uprising that toppled the Sheikh Hasina-led government on the 5th of August last year. The newly floated National Citizen Party, the NCP, unveiled the party's 24-point manifesto during its rally in Dhaka, and both groups said their rallies marked the first anniversary of the so-called July uprising, which led to the ouster of the government led by 77-year-old Sheikh Hasina. Bangladesh is to unveil the July Declaration on the 5th of August. Saurabh Gupta has the latest for us.
Bangladesh is basically building up to August 5th, and August 5th is the anniversary of the toppling of the Sheikh Hasina government after violent protests rocked Bangladesh last year. Now, these protests started over a quota announcement or a quota decision by a court, but it soon turned into something much bigger. And eventually, on the 5th of August, the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, had to flee Dhaka. Now, since then, there have been efforts to make this a turning point, and those who were protesting against Sheikh Hasina and those who are in charge of running the country now, including the interim government led by Muhammad Yunus, and those who were protesting on the streets of Dhaka and other parts of Bangladesh, say that August 5th is something that's going to be important, and they're wanting to also, come up with the July Declaration. But at the same time, the trial against Sheikh Hasina, the International Crimes Tribunal, has already started. Day-to-day proceedings are taking place. In fact, what we've been given to understand is that from the details that we know is that there have been witnesses who have testified today on day one of, those hearings that are taking place. In fact, the first witness who testified today, and this is, of course, in that, court proceedings, said that Sheikh Hasina was responsible for killing thousands. The Awami League has denied all of these allegations. Sheikh Hasina has also denied these allegations.
Let's switch tracks now to Canada. US President Donald Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney will likely talk over the next number of days after the US imposed a 35% tariff on goods not covered by the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The federal cabinet minister, Dominic LeBlanc, actually said that he was encouraged by recent discussions and believed a deal to bring down tariffs remained an option. But is Mark Carney optimistic of a better deal? Well, here's what he's saying.
Look, Canada's strong. We can give ourselves far more than anyone can take away. We're building this great country. I just met with the Premier, building BC, building Canada, building in a Canadian way, building sustainably, building together, building positively, and that's what we're going to do. And yes, we will we'll come to something with the Americans, something constructive with the Americans.
Maha Siddiqui has been tracking all the latest developments and all that's happening behind the scenes. She joins us live from Vancouver at the moment. Maha, is there an option of striking a deal that will bring down some of the tariffs imposed?
At least that's what Mark Carney and Canada are hoping for. But experts are warning, Parmeshwar, the Canadian side, that a no deal might be better than a bad deal for Canada. So they are very cognizant of the fact that they need to strike a deal that is clearly in their favor, even at this time when Donald Trump is going hammer and tongs against most countries across the world they trade with, especially the top 20 countries they trade with. We have seen a spate of tariffs against most of them, but Canada has had some punishing tariffs since the day Donald Trump, in fact, in April announced that he's going to impose tariffs against Canada. They already have a 50% tariff on aluminum and steel, which is across board for other countries as well, 25% tariffs on auto, and 10% tariff on energy imports from their country to the United States. A 35% tariff on non-CUSMA compliant goods is punishing for them in such a scenario. Now, many of the experts believe that most goods are CUSMA compliant. Some peg it at about 89%. Some say only 60% goods are CUSMA compliant, and therefore, if it's only 60%, then for some of the sectors, it could be very, very detrimental to have a 35% tariff that Donald Trump has announced. If it's 89%, the impact may not be as much. But we have already seen impacts on some industry, like the auto industries. We have seen job losses, especially in the province of Ontario. We have seen some of the three big automakers in the U.S. Going ahead, asking the Trump administration to build carve-outs for their sector specifically. But all of that at the moment is not really helping. And that is the reason that this trade deal is necessary. But a trade deal that works in Canada's favor is one that Mark Carney has said he will sign on.
Right, as always, Maha, thanks so much for joining us with the lowdown. As Maha is indicating, some within the government say a no deal might be better than a bad deal for Canada. We'll keep tracking the latest for you as far as the tariff trade war is concerned. For now, let's turn our attention to Sri Lanka. Well, Sri Lanka received a total of 2,244 tourists in July 2025, just in the month of July, with Indian travellers accounting for the largest share. This marks an increase of 6.6% in total tourist arrivals as compared to figures from the same period last year, according to the latest data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. Indians basically accounted for 18.5% of the total tourist footfall. With that, we're slipping into a very quick break. Back in a moment with the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
And you know, that's why it's being said that after Kahuna Pyare, this is the film that has got two superstar debutants who are becoming superstars. But what was this faith that you had on these two that you know that shows on screen?
You know, you don't plan to make a blockbuster. You plan to make a good film. And that's what I think they never let me, they didn't put that pressure on me to live up to. They never gave me a number that we have to hit or a so-called figure that I have to open to. There was all these trappings were just not there, which normally producers do end up putting that pressure. Then you make wrong things. Then you add a song for a shadi song, add a Punjabi song. All these trappings were not there in this film. They were like, just go there and make your film. Do this script. We love this script and make it honestly. And I think the minute that happened, a filmmaker I could just spread my wings and just go out, not worrying about a few. I think when you do that, you get a little more fearless, and then that's what got picked up by people. So I cast appropriate for the film. I didn't cast thinking. I cast what felt right.
You were saying that you are going to say no to him.
Yeah. But that's his fault. Huh? He was now you see, now that we can talk about the film, Krish Kapoor cannot be a timid, sweet boy.
Yes,
sir, how are you,
remember
sir?
last time we spoke.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this guy? He was a sweet boy, and then I was Then by the end of the night, I could see the boisterous self, and I could see the Krish Kapoor who could stand on top and say, "Don't forget this name, it's Krish Kapoor." So I think I was looking for that a bit. I needed a spark of that.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry, and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of...
The United Kingdom has unveiled plans for a new law that will crack down on criminal gangs behind social media advertisements promoting dangerous small boat crossings and other forms of illegal immigration into the country. Under a new amendment to the Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill, currently going through the Parliament, a UK-wide offence will be introduced to criminalise the creation of material for publication online, which promotes or offers services facilitating a breach of Britain's immigration law. This after immigration protests intensified in the UK over the weekend. China and Russia began joint naval drills in the Sea of Japan on Sunday as they seek to reinforce their partnership and counterbalance what they see as a US-led global order. Alongside economic and political ties, Moscow and Beijing have strengthened their military cooperation in recent years, and their relations have deepened since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. Meanwhile, Pakistan supports Iran's right to develop nuclear capability for peaceful purposes, as the two sides signed several agreements to expand cooperation in multiple fields. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who arrived in Islamabad on Saturday, met Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif at his official residence. At a joint press conference following their meeting, Sharif emphasized that Iran has the right to the peaceful use of nuclear energy, which has been at the center of the ongoing tensions with Israel. Tens of thousands of demonstrators have marched across the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, calling for peace and aid deliveries in the war-ravaged Gaza Strip, where a humanitarian crisis of man-made starvation has been worsening as a result of Israel's punishing blockade. Despite curiosity around the new program, the launch date and specific details of which are yet to be released, data shows that the existing investment-based residency program in the US, the EB-5, which the Gold Card will replace, has seen more applications from India over the past 1 year than ever before, according to the American Immigrant Investor Alliance. And finally, an 80-year-old Agra-born adventurer cum businessman, Arvinder Arvi Singh Behel, lifted off to the edge of space aboard Blue Origin's NS-34 mission along with 5 other crew members on Sunday. The suborbital flight lifted off from the company's launch site, one in West Texas at 6 p.m. IST, marking another milestone in private human spaceflight. Behel was part of Blue Origin's 14th human spaceflight to suborbital space, and that flight lasted 11 minutes and carried a 6-member crew to the boundary that separates Earth's atmosphere from space. Let's turn our attention now to tragic news coming in. 4 missing members of an Indian origin family were found dead after a car crash in the United States. 4 elderly members of an Indian origin family from New York were found dead on Saturday, days after they went missing while traveling to a temple in Marshall County in West Virginia. The 4 senior citizens were reported missing from Buffalo, New York. Their vehicle, though, was located on the 2nd of August off a steep embankment along a road in Marshall County in West Virginia. The 4 persons were last spotted driving a light green car at a Burger King in Pennsylvania. This is what security footage showed. But currently, investigations are ongoing into this deadly road accident. Let's turn our attention now to the world of sport. Action, drama, emotion, and an epic comeback. The 4th test in Oval now hangs on the knife's edge. England need 35 runs for the win and India 4 wickets. But the match had to be called off on Sunday night as rain lashed down on the Oval cricket ground. But here's how Team India kept the match alive.
England needed 324 runs on day 4 to win the test match. When Duckett and Pope were gone, the hosts were 106 for 3.
There was no appeal, but now there is, and the finger's gone up.
In came the biggest game changer, Harry Brooks, and then this moment of disbelief for India. England were 137 for 3, Harry Brooks on 19. He picked out Mohammad Siraj at fine leg, but Siraj stepped onto the rope with the ball in his hand, a huge turning point. It was a 6 for Brooke. And then the England batter blazed to his 10th test ton, the 2nd of the series.
The counter-attack started just before lunch.
He had a 195-run stand with Joe Root, who stood like a rock. The Indian bowlers toiled for almost 2.5 sessions. Harry Brooke and Joe Root got England close. The number 1 test batter, Joe Root, brought up his 39th test century, a series-defining knock. He marked the milestone by donning a headband in honor of former England international Graham Thorpe. India cranked it up yet again with this wicket of Jacob Bethel. England 42 runs away. Mohammad Siraj was revving up the crowd by clapping, shouting and even waving his arms to conduct the cheers as an injured Ben Stokes sat in the England balcony. When Joe Root went for 105, edging Prasidh Krishna to the keeper, India's tail was up. England needed 37 for a win. Overton dug it in towards the end. He survived a few nervy overs before the weather gods added another twist. Stumps were called with England on 339 for 6. The test match will now be played for a 5th day. And that means every test of this 5-match series has gone into the last day.
If it matters to you, 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 it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
You know, first when Sayara released and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, I didn't expect this, what is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adisa saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always, like me and Akshay were so into making the film, I think, along with Sumanna and all. Sometimes when you're so into it and you know, you don't realize, you don't see it from, and then he saw it from a third person perspective. I mean, he was always super confident about the film. And he had actually had this talk with me about how I've done, and yeah, we all grew up. I was in the 8th grade when I saw Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and said I want to make a love story like this. for a person like him to say that, you've made a great film. All he had asked for me was to make your best film for me. And I did, and I'm just glad so that was the first thing, and that validation was great. I wasn't shouting over the roof for it. It gives you a lot of confidence at that moment, for the person who's actually put his money where it is, and he wasn't talking about anything else, but on a very unassembled film at that time, could feel the emotion and be listening. But it was the first time we felt that we made something special. But yes, once the numbers came in, I think then it was Akshay.
The advance.
Yeah, and the advances came in, and then people were sending me messages, and all they said, no, don't listen to anyone. So I at one point just put my phone off and said, this is getting too out of hand. And then in the night we got the number.
And that's why it's being said that after Kaho Na Pyare, this is the film that has got two superstar debutants who are becoming superstars. But what was this faith that you had on these two that that shows on screen?
You don't plan to make a blockbuster. You plan to make a good film. And that's what I think they never let me, they didn't put that pressure on me to live up to. They never gave me a number that we have to hit or a so-called figure that I have to open to. There was all these trappings were just not there, which normally producers do end up putting that pressure. Then you make wrong things. Then you add a song for a shadi song, add a Punjabi song. All these trappings were not there in this film. They were like, just go there and make your film. Do this script. We love this script and make it honestly.
A very good morning. This is The Breakfast Show. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vada. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including a senior official of the US President Donald Trump's administration accusing India of imposing massive tariffs on American goods and cheating the US immigration system. We'll get you all the details. First, let's get you the headlines. Well, top Trump aide is targeting India and is accusing India of funding Russia's war in Ukraine. The Trump aide has gone on to say that this is not acceptable for India to be doing this, and India and as well as China tied in buying Russian oil is what the top aide has gone on to claim. Kamal Hassan stirs a debate on Sanatan Dharam. He has made a very strong political and social statement that only education has the power to break the chains of dictatorship and Sanatan ideology. D.K. Shivkumar in Delhi highlights his long career with the Congress and his efforts to bring the party to power in Karnataka, while really lauding the efforts and the decision that was taken by Sonia Gandhi back in 2004 in order to step away from the Prime Minister's position, and spoke of power sharing in politics. Delhi government's bill to regulate private school fees is the aim to end profiteering by schools, a bill to be tabled in the Delhi Assembly. So the Delhi government, they're set to introduce that bill during the monsoon session to regulate peak hikes by private schools. 12 people have died in flood rain-related deaths that have taken place in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Prayagraj has seen streams, these are streets that have turned into streams and ghats that have been submerged in the temple town. Romualdez set for a box office finish. Rain extends the match to final day. India needs 4 wickets. England needs 35 runs.
Into the bag. There was no appeal.
And ISRO's Ladakh station to simulate life on Moon. ISRO's Hope station in Ladakh will serve as a testing ground for future Moon and Mars missions by simulating extreme space-like conditions on Earth. Let's get to your top story, and that's the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House and one of Trump's most influential aides, Stephen Miller, has gone on to say that Trump wants a tremendous relationship with India, but also further has gone ahead and accused India of effectively financing Russia's war in Ukraine by purchasing oil from Moscow. After the United States President escalated pressure on New Delhi to stop buying Russian oil, echoing what Marco Rubio had said last week. Now, a senior official of US President Donald Trump's administration is accusing India of financing Russia's war by purchasing the oil, and the move came amid the United States escalating pressure on New Delhi to stop trading with Moscow. Ghazali, my colleague, joining us to get us the very latest. Ghazali, take us through the allegations that are being made. And this, we are talking about the Deputy Chief of Staff, who's very, very close. He's the most influential aide of the Trump administration. Here he's talking about not just, fueling the war when it comes to Ukraine, but also accusing India of not really siding with the United States and, letting a good deal fall through.
Yeah, by far the sharpest criticism from the US admin, first saying that you are purchasing oil from Russia. That was the usual point of irritation or friction between the two governments. But Trump said, going on to say that we are aiding Russia's war in Ukraine, also trying to say that we are somewhere close to China, we are hand in glove with China, and saying that's a shocking truth which has come to the fore. Something shows that perhaps India declaring that it will continue to purchase oil from Russia has not gone down well with the Trump administration. And this is almost like a repeat of what happened back in 2019 during the first Trump administration when the then US President, Mr. Trump, had pressured India to not purchase oil from Iran because Iran was facing sanctions then, and India had complied to the US order back then, or the US suggestion back then. But this time around, India doesn't look in any way to please Trump or sort of obey to whatever he's suggesting to, because India continues to stand with Russia. India is getting its crude oil from Russia, and India has always said that getting energy sources or sourcing its energy needs from diverse partnership depends upon market prices, depends upon global circumstances, and it had nothing to do with geopolitics. But obviously, India also said that the relations of India with Russia or any country should not be seen from the prism of from the prism of any third country. So somewhere India is also not backing down, and this confrontation between India and US now moving towards a more escalatory nature now. We'll have to see that how the Indian government responds, because this recent comments from Mr. Trump's aide has come after India reacted saying that we haven't stopped purchasing oil from Russia.
Right, Ghazali, of course, what Stephen Miller really has gone on to say is that it's astonishing that India is tied to China because of the oil that it's purchasing from Russia. Thank you so much for getting us those details. Let's just switch tracks now in order to get you the very latest, and this is a very crucial visit that's coming up by Philippines President. That's going to be taking place hours from now. He's set to arrive here in India following his bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. It is going to be the President of the Philippines who's expected to sign several agreements with India. This is a move aimed at deepening maritime cooperation with the Southeast Asian region. India is hosting the President over the next 4 days between the 4th and the 8th, and this will be the first visit by the President's son of the late President Marcos, who visited India back in 1976. Here is what we can expect from this visit.
In a high-profile diplomatic engagement amid rising regional tensions with China, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of the Philippines arrives in New Delhi today. His first visit to India since taking office in 2022. His state visit comes at a significant moment as India and Philippines mark 75 years of diplomatic ties, and even as the two nations conduct their first ever bilateral naval drill in the contested South China Sea. The 4-day visit will begin with a meeting with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on the 4th of August. On 5th, President Marcos will pay tribute at Rajghat, followed by key bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi at Hyderabad House, where multiple agreements are expected to be signed. He will also meet President Draupadi Murmu and BJP President J.P. Nadda, who also serves as India's health minister. President Marcos will then travel to Bengaluru, where he is scheduled to call on Karnataka Governor Thawarchand Gehlot. India's defense ties with the Philippines are deepening, most notably with the delivery of the BrahMos missile system in April 2024, making the Philippines the first foreign nation to acquire it. The ongoing joint maritime drill near the Scarborough Shoal underlines shared concerns over China's assertiveness in regional waters. This aligns with India's Act East policy, Vision Mahasagar, and its Indo-Pacific vision, and is expected to chart new ground in areas like trade, defense, healthcare, and maritime cooperation. This visit sets the stage for a deeper strategic alignment in diplomacy, defense, and the Indo-Pacific. Rhythm Acadia's report for NDTV World.
Let's get you more news, and this is in regard to actor-turned-politician Kamal Haasan, who has now gone ahead and stirred a controversy. This is a debate on Sanatan Dharma, while education can crush dictatorship, is what Kamal Haasan has gone on to say while slamming NEET. NEET has denied people education, and that also to many is what Kamal Haasan has gone ahead while hitting out at Sanatan Dharma. So the superstar caused controversy again, and the star voice takes aim at Sanatan Dharma this time around and making that very powerful political and social statement, declaring that only education has the power to break the chains of dictatorship and Sanatan ideology. Haasan strongly has criticized the NEET medical entrance exam and its impact on marginalized communities in Tamil Nadu. He's gone on to say since 2017, this has denied education to so many children while referring to NEET. Let's listen in to actor-turned-politician Kamal Haasan.
அந்த கல்வி இந்த போரில் ஆயுதமின்றி நாட்டையே செதுக்க வல்லது. இது சர்வாதிகார சங்கிலிகளை, சனாதன சங்கிலிகளை எல்லாம் நொறுக்கி தள்ளக்கூடிய ஒரே ஆயுதம் இதுதான்.
And Sam Dalian, my colleague from Chennai, joining us in order to get us the very latest. Sam, a very strong statement coming out of the recent, recent addition to the Rajya Sabha, so to speak. Well, education is the only weapon that can shatter Sanatan chains. Majoritarian ignorance will defeat you every time. But reason and education are long-term tools, is what he's gone on to say.
That's right. Kamal Haasan, Divya, spoke in the context of NEET denying the opportunity to pursue medicine for many underprivileged, meritorious children. He was speaking at the 15th anniversary of the Agaram Foundation run by actor Surya that helps such underprivileged children to scale greater heights. And Kamal Haasan referred to how in the past many have been able to become doctors. But since 2017, because of the mandatory NEET system, underprivileged children, despite help by foundations like this, could not become doctors. And he underscored the importance of education, which in his view alone could break the shatter chains of, what he calls the chains of both authoritarian system and Sanatan Dharma. This comes, of course, in the context of southern states, particularly Tamil Nadu, looking at Sanatan Dharma as discriminatory on the basis of caste system, particularly the past systems of untouchability, and keeping oppressed classes in that condition and not letting them uplift. And this had earlier become a controversy when Udayanidhi Stalin, when he was a minister, had made such a statement that Sanatan Dharma ought to be eradicated like mosquitoes which cause dengue and malaria. It had become a huge controversy, went to the court, so many FIRs were filed, and only recently the Supreme Court had put a halt to that, saying no more FIRs. It's in that context it becomes important, but politically